Hey y'all, it's Kim. So before I get into Lefties losing it, because Sonny Hostin's featured on there, I just wanted to go to a few things. So it says, so on Friday, Sonny Hostin from The View discussed her dislike of our new pope because he historically has not supported the LGBT, I guess, TQ, whatever, IA plus plus, and whatever else is added to that community. Why would you think the Pope is going to support that? But okay, it says Monday morning, having researched his ancestry over the weekend, she professed her love of him because she found out that he has Haitian ancestry. She now loves the new Pope because he's black. She changed her tune because of his race. Our country will never heal with racist, disgusting people like this having a microphone. That's exactly right. And her mother's white, from what I remember. Anyway, she's just disgusting. And then here's Brandon Tatum. He says race hustler Sonny Hostin, also a self-proclaimed Catholic, stretches like Mr. Fantastic to celebrate the new Pope's identity as black as a way to poke fun at Trump for literally no reason at all. Sonny Hostin, as it turns out, our new American Pope has Haitian and black roots. So we actually have a black pope who's married to these women. Oh, he's just asking who's married to these women. I mean, it's just, what difference does it make? Like he said, we're never going to get away from this stuff if people just keep going on. They just make everything about race. And it says Sonny Hostin is one of the most racist people in American television history. And remember this. I didn't think I was, let's see. Oh, I'm a little bit in shock. I just always thought of myself as so Puerto this Rican. Come on, stop playing. Okay. So Sonny Hostin is one of the most racist people in American television history. And this is, I think, Know Your Roots or Find Your Roots or something. I think it's like a PBS show. But anyway, she finds out her family had slaves. So there you go. Oh, I'm a little bit in shock. I just always thought of myself as Puerto Rican, half Puerto Rican. And white. I didn't think I was my family was originally from Spain and slaveholders.
Yeah. So how are you feeling? Now imagine being one of the most racist people in American television history just to find out that your great-great-great-grandpappy was a slave owner himself. Now, I would think that if I found myself in such a situation, I would let go of my racist ways. I would stop with the anti-white rhetoric and I would look to unify us all, understanding that even my own heritage has its own signs of darkness. Well, that is literally the opposite of what Sonny Hostin did in the situation. Because after she found out that indeed her own forefathers were slave owners, she tripled down on her own racism to the point where she articulated how she was pissed off at the fact that the new pope is another white guy. Well, technically, she was pissed off before she found out that he had some Haitian blood. And now, of course, she's praising him because that's how that works, right? He's white, it ain't I. Got a little bit of black, he's back. But I think her mother's white. Let's see if we can find pictures of her mother while we're in here. I mean, because that's ridiculous. I think her mother's blonde haired. I think she even mentioned that. Let's see. Oh, look. Yeah. So what is this? I mean, she looks like either white or something. I mean, she's at least got blonde hair. She may be dyeing it, but still. I mean, she's not like what I would say fully black. Maybe this is her dad. But anyway, it's just ridiculous. This lady, it's disgusting. Says Sonny Hostin has a mental collapse on The View, and she has said it's illegal for President Trump to receive a $400 million jet. First, he's not personally receiving the jet. Second, when Sonny tries to explain the emoluments clause,
gift receive limit, she confuses herself on the $20 amount. Sonny says that there's a $20 max of what you can receive, but then says anything under that you need to disclose. What she meant to say is even if the gift is only $20 and one cent, you still need to disclose it. Jenny is not a pathological liar, she's also blameless. Oh, not only a pathological liar, she is also brainless. Look at the expression on the faces of Whoopi and Anna Navarro. They can't wait for her to stop embarrassing herself. This ain't an isolated incident either. Sonny is a mental mess. No wonder she liked Joe Biden. But look at her face. You don't even have to turn on the volume and you can see she's screwed up here. Her, just the evil that radiates out of her. I don't even want to listen to her mouth. Uh, yeah, I don't even want to go into all this. Let's just watch Lefties losing it because that's about all I can take of her face today. Oh my goodness.
Once again, I regret to inform you that the levels of delusion and madness are intensifying. Sonny Hostin thinks the new Pope is black.
Oh man. This is dumb. Okay. They're mad because I do have an ad
And because she's decided he's black, well, that means she likes him now.
There's one other thing that's also very interesting to me because President Trump, as you remember, called Haiti a certain type of country. As it turns out, our new American Pope has Haitian and black roots. So we actually have chef's kiss for me. So apparently both of his maternal grandparents are described as black, Haitian, or mulatto in several census documents. And on their marriage license, the grandfather's birth place is Haiti, listed as Haiti. Her birthplace is listed as born in New Orleans. They were identified as people of color. But in 1920, when they migrated to Chicago, the census reflected their race as white.
Yeah, maybe the census in the US might just be a little bit more reliable than the one from a third world country. But if you want to identify Pope Leo as black and it brings some level of joy into your sad little life, then please be my guest, Sonny, because I don't think you've yet recovered from this revelation that your ancestors were slave owners.
Wow. I'm a little bit in shock. I just always thought of myself as Puerto Rican, half Puerto Rican. I didn't think I was, my family was originally from Spain and slaveholders.
I love that show. But Sonny's obsession with race and her hostility to supposed white oppressors is sadly rather commonplace among the left. Let's hear from this young lass who has some thoughts on what's the biggest issue in her generation.
The biggest issue in our generation is white people feeling like they have entitlement over other minorities, feeling like they need to be at least in America, feeling like they need to be at the top of the food chain, and they're not. This country was built off of slavery. This country is built off of immigrants. This country is built on stolen land. Respect the people that you took this from and understand that we are telling you you are wrong. How do you think white people can do better? Sit down. Sit down. Wait, stop trying. They don't feel like they need to take any type of accountability, and because of that, that's why our country is the way that it is.
Oh, yes, we love that collective guilt, don't we? Here is a pearl of wisdom from another lefty, a masked lefty who claims to love everybody. Well, almost.
Bible says to love everyone.
Do you love everybody?
Yeah, actually.
Do you hate cops? No, Jesus said you love everybody. Just like you are.
Jesus was an anti-cop, but they
What? They didn't have cops back then, you
Well done,
idiots.
genius. Now time for some left v left vitriol. Here is veteran Democrat strategist James Carville slamming Democrat squad member Ilhan Omar.
Ilhan Omar says that white men are responsible for most of the deaths in the United States. So let me get this straight. 69% of the people, I'm stuck on that number, I don't know, but 69% of the people going to vote are white. Of that, 48 and a half are males. So I don't know, my rough math is 33%. Let's go out and piss off 33% of the people that vote, and that's a smart strategy. And the people that agree with her, there are people that actually agree with her. And I think honestly, I think these people are more trouble than they're worth.
Notice he doesn't criticize her for saying things that are racist, divisive, statistically inaccurate. His only issue is that it's not going to be particularly popular. Now, as President Trump strikes advantageous trade deals, the usual suspects are out to poo-poo the agreement. Apparently, getting a great deal with the UK is nothing to brag about because they're an ally.
This is relatively low-hanging fruit. If you can't get a trade deal with the longest-standing and loyalist United States ally anywhere in the world over generations, you're going to be in trouble.
And you do realize we fought a Revolutionary War against them, right? I mean, you're talking about like England or even the UK, mostly England, but yeah. Okay, dude.
Well, when you're dealing with some of the more obstreperous countries around the world, the ones that are more willing to resist.
Well, if it's that easy, why didn't the previous administration do it? Probably because the previous president didn't know what day it was. The cognitive decline was extreme and obvious, except to the leftist media who covered up the biggest story in the world and attacked those of us who pointed out the obvious, that Biden was not up to the job. Now CNN's Jake Tapper has penned a book called The Original Sin.
Now he's going to capitalize on it.
Cover up and his disastrous choice to run again. But when it actually mattered, Jake was part of the cover-up. He was complicit and should not be allowed to rewrite history.
How do you think it makes little kids with stutters feel when they see you make a comment like that?
It's very clearly a cognitive decline.
Okay.
That's what I'm referring to. It makes me uncomfortable.
You are no it's so amazing. It's so amazing to me that
try and figure out an answer.
A cognitive decline.
Oh, yes, that's how he treated those saying that the president was not mentally fit to serve. When it mattered most, Jake was a coward. He blamed a stutter for Biden's terrible decline. He was still doing it in 2024.
Biden embraces his stutter, talking about it, while Trump mocks it, exaggerates it, belittles it. He's sharp physically. I mean, mentally. Yeah, I think the question is physically, right?
Right.
More so?
Right.
Right. And the guy who's his chief opponent is only 3 or 4 years younger than him.
Exactly.
I mean, you have questioned President Biden's age, mental fitness, ability to lead. Of those supporting Biden, you said, quote, shame on all of you pretending everything is okay. You're leading us and him into a disaster. Do you worry that you damaged him at all? I don't doubt that you got hugs and handshakes behind closed doors today, and maybe even publicly, some of them because they like you personally. But I've heard a lot of really nasty stuff about you from your Democratic colleagues. I mean, just like, what is he thinking? Exercising narcissism.
Yep, there he is, attacking anyone who questioned Biden's mental fitness. That's Jake Tapper. That's what he did when it mattered. Now that Biden is retired, he wants to tell you about the great cover-up. Does he think we'll forget this?
False claims to the Wall Street Journal about President Biden's mental fitness and acuity. He's 81, and his memory, it doesn't seem great.
If I recall, wasn't in the Wall Street Journal owned by like Jeff Bezos, and then it was written basically almost like left-leaning, their bias. So what are they talking about? Oh my goodness.
It's not horrible, but I don't understand the outrage. Well, behind closed doors, Biden shows signs of slipping, unquote. The Wall Street Journal is owned by News Corp, which is run by the Murdochs. Beyond the headline, there is some critical nuance here. The article is mostly based on observations of Republicans, with former Speaker Kevin McCarthy the only one going on the record. They do note in the article that most of the criticism comes from Republicans. Have you heard any concerns from anyone who has met with President Biden about him seeming a little slower?
No.
The Russians are trying to make us and the public not trust our election integrity. Joe Biden has dementia, all this stuff.
Oh dear. Thanks to Tom Elliott for the brilliant compilations there. And let's be clear, Joe Biden's decline didn't just happen in the last year of his presidency. It was evident during the 2020 election campaign, and as I've told you on this station over the years, it was evident even before that.
And to get hot, I got hairy legs that turn, that that turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again.
Gross.
They'd look at it. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap. And I've loved kids jumping on my lap.
That's gross.
I've got to say, I love that story. It's almost as good as the one about Corn Pop.
And Corn Pop was a bad dude. And he ran a bunch of bad boys. And I did. And back in those days, to show how things have changed, one of the things you had to use, if you used pomade in your hair, you had to wear a baby cap. And so he was up on the board, wouldn't listen to me. I said, "Hey, Esther, you, off the board, or I'll come up and drag you off." And I walked up to my car. And they had, those days, used to remember the straight razors, you'd bang them on the curb, get them rusty, put them in a rain barrel, get them rusty. And I looked at them, but I was smart then.
Joining me now is commentator and author of the new book, The Children We Left Behind, Adam B. Coleman. Adam, let's start with this astonishing attempt to rewrite history by some in the media who for years covered up Joe Biden's obvious cognitive decline, who are now trying to restore their credibility, their reputations, by telling us what we already knew. And it really doesn't matter now, does it? In a new book by CNN's Jake Tapper and Axios's Alex Thompson, they revealed that Joe Biden's physical deterioration was so severe that his aides discussed putting him in a wheelchair for his second term. Adam, what do you think about the revelations in this book? They may be news to many on the left who only consume CNN and MSNBC and the rest of it, but just about everybody else already knew that the president didn't seem to be fit for office.
Well, to be frank, when I was a Democrat, I felt like he wasn't fit to be in office in the first place. When he was mumbling and stumbling around on the campaign trail, being belligerent, arguing with constituents, I was like, why are they forcing this man to run? But it was all a setup. This is what they wanted in the first place. They wanted to force him into office for some reason. They felt like he was the only one that could beat Trump, and he made it into office. But everyone was supposed to live in denial and believe that what our eyes are seeing is not actually true.
Gaslighting.
And then the media helped them out by gaslighting us, saying that, well, people sometimes fall upstairs. Oh, sometimes people just fall off of bikes. And that the man is stuttering. Oh, he's always had a stutter. No, he hasn't, right? I've listened to Joe Biden for years when he was the vice president. So very clearly, the man never had a stutter. So you have all these different narratives that were being painted. And so now when it's a situation where he's no longer in power, now when it seems very obvious that no one believes this, now they're Johnny-come-latelys of, well, we recognize the problem this entire time. And some of them, if they're honest, they'll say, we just didn't want to help Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Well, of course they didn't. If it was anybody else, or if it wasn't a Republican, they would have been all over this story. This is the biggest scandal you can think of in modern history, to have the leader of the free world, the commander-in-chief, not fit for office. Who's making this decisions? Who's actually determining what's happening? And in this new book, there's obviously leaks happening. Axios has reported that Biden's aides believed it was politically untenable to have him use a wheelchair during his re-election campaign. So they went to all sorts of lengths to try to limit him walking around. They had all these fears about him suffering more falls. Listen to this. Aides then began taking many more precautions to avoid a repeat before the November 2024 election. They tried to figure out shorter walking paths, began insisting on handrails for steps up to the stage for his appearances, had him wear sneakers more often, changed his visual briefings before events to ensure he knew every step he was expected to take, and guided him more carefully through the movements. Adam, to call him a puppet president at this point, I think is underselling it. It's not enough. This is borderline Weekend at Bernie's style antics we're hearing about.
Yeah, I mean, in some ways, I'm thinking of this like presidential training wheels. Let's just speak as path shorter. Let's give him notes and tell him who people are. In some ways it's kind of funny, but in other ways, I'm kind of empathetic because it feels like elder abuse. Mm-hmm. No one's willing to tell the man the truth. And Joe Biden seems to be the only one who benefits from him being in office in the first place. Half the time he doesn't know where he is. He's falling asleep all over the place. Mm-hmm. The man's clearly not fit to be in office. And as you stated, he's the top dog when it comes to running the country. And he should be competent, right? He should not have cue cards to tell him what country he's in, what state he's in at the time, or who he's talking to, which is an absurd situation to even be in. So, I think history is going to be very interesting when we look back and see how much cover was ran for Joe Biden.
Well, it all depends on how much history some of the authors can rewrite, because the number of members of the media who were complicit in this cover-up is in itself shameful. They knew, they went to the press conference, they knew he had cue cards with faces and names of journalists that he was supposed to call on. He knew the question they were going to be asking him. There were no surprises here. I mean, that is just not a way a presidential press conference should ever work, where he knows every single question that is going to be asked, so he's perfectly prepared for. And even with that preparation, he struggled. Now let's move on to Donald Trump, and here we go again as the president is striking trade deals with the UK, China. He's just secured $600 billion investment deal from the Saudis. The Democrats, or in this case, a lone House Democrat from Michigan, is trying to impeach him. Sri Thandadar is moving to force a chamber-wide vote on his impeachment resolution against President Donald Trump. Adam, will others join in this fight to impeach Trump? Are they going to take up the legislation?
No. As a matter of fact, I would say, from what I've seen, the sponsors of it initially have actually kind of pulled away. It's not going to go anywhere. But I think ultimately...
I mean, they have no reason to impeach him. They don't like his methods. They don't like how fast he's moving, and the fact that he's actually doing something versus them pandering for votes to get into office, and then they get there and do nothing but start making all this money. That's what they're mad about. They're mad that the USAID is shut down, so they don't have a slush fund to go back to. They're mad that he's fixing to cut into pharmaceutical lobbying where they were getting paid for this stuff, because there's actually charts that show how many Democrats and independents that were getting money from Big Pharma. So Trump is doing all these deals, and it's just cutting them off at the knees, and that's what they're mad about. And the immigration stuff, they thought they were going to just continue to let people in the country and keep them here so it would count in the census, so then they have more Democrat representation, more people to represent, so then they have more House seats and Senate seats. So that's what they're mad about. Anyway, I mean, they're like on the wrong side of every issue at this point that matters to the American people. But when they have low-hanging fruit voters who watch CNN and DNC is what I call them, they are just mad that the grift is no longer working for them. And anyway, but their message is not resonating with the rest of us. I can assure you, I watch enough stuff and I see enough stuff that what they're doing is just totally opposite of what the majority wants. So let's finish this off, and then we'll look at the comments too. I just want to see what people are saying about this.
The point of it was to become an eccentric millionaire for this guy. Now we know who he is. He's an odd-looking, odd-acting type of person. And when it comes to being in Congress, this is what you actually have to do so people know your name. You have to be eccentric. You have to be bombastic and loud. Jasmine Crockett is another example. No one would care who she was if she wasn't loud and boisterous. So this is just another tactic coming from the Democrats as far as gaining attention, maybe to get more money from donors so people know who they are. But they have nothing. That's ultimately what this comes down to. They have nothing. They're out there just drawing at every possible thing that they can do. But at the end of the day, the Democrats stand for nothing. Donald Trump has beaten them all over the place because he has the interests of the American public. And what they're showing is that they don't know how to gain the interest of the American public because all they've been doing is catering to the top. They've been catering to the elite, the snobby little jerks like what's his name, the young guy from
David Hogg,
who's now getting ousted from the Democratic Party as vice chair.
Oh yes, David Hogg. Yeah.
Right, David Hogg. You know, they're ousting guys like him, but these are the types of people that they attract. So it doesn't shock me that they stand on nothing, and and Sri is now getting the attention that he wants.
He's getting the attention, you're right. He does seem to be from the Jasmine Crockett School of Politics, but they don't need anything to try to impeach Donald Trump. We've seen them do this before. They've been down this road with absolutely nothing. And sometimes to appease their base, their more radical elements, this is what they focus on. Now, meanwhile, we've got Donald Trump in his Middle East tour. He began it in Saudi Arabia, where he was feted like a king. But before he left, he did address the controversy over accepting a $400 million jet from Qatar. Here he gets into a bit of a heated argument with an ABC journalist, and he fact-checks this journalist who claims the jet was a personal gift to Trump.
Mr. President, what do you say to people who view that luxury jet as a personal gift to you? Why not leave it behind?
ABC fake news, right?
Why not?
Only ABC. Well, a few of you would. Let me tell you, you should be embarrassed asking that question. They're giving us a free jet. I could say, no, don't give us, I want to pay you $1 billion or 400 million or whatever it is. Well, I could say, thank you very much. You know, there was an old golfer named Sam Snead. Did you ever hear him? He won 82 tournaments. He was a great golfer. And he had a motto: when they give you a putt, you say, thank you very much. You pick up your ball and you walk to the next hole. A lot of people are stupid. They say, no, I insist on putting it. Then they putt it, they miss it. And their partner gets angry at them. You know what? Remember that, Sam Snead. When they give you a putt, you pick it up and you walk to the next hole and you say, thank you very much.
Respectfully, sir, yeah, some people may look at this and say, have you ever been given a gift worth millions of dollars and then not received
anything?
It's
not a gift to me. It's a gift to the Department of Defense. And you should know better because you've been embarrassed enough, and so has your network. Your network is a disaster. ABC is a disaster.
Adam, I've got to say, I love these little anecdotes, the life lessons, and I've got to ask you, is he right? Do you not look a gift horse in the mouth? If someone gives you a $400 million gift for your Department of Defense, you go, thank you, but you doesn't mean you're going to give them anything, doesn't mean you're obligated. Or is the acceptance of this gift going to be seen as some sort of a bribe?
Well, not everything, not everyone's money is good money, and not every gift is a gift. In foreign policy, people give you things for leverage. No one's giving you $400 million. I know the Qataris seem like they have just endless cash, but they're not doing it because of charity. At the end of the day, they want something in exchange, whether it's now or whether it's later on. But I would actually want to highlight the optics of this. The optics of it doesn't look good. You know, Donald Trump, rightly, is going after colleges for anti-Semitism. But accepting a gift from the Qataris and not realizing that much of the anti-Semitism is being fueled by the Qataris seems to be a bad optic. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It's not consistent. So while maybe there are other ways, more normal ways, that the Qataris could have worked out some sort of deal with the United States, it's not to say that they should cut off all diplomatic ties with them, but to accept the gift, while it's not a personal gift that he's going to use, in his personal time, it is something that he's going to utilize as a temporary plane while he gets a new Air Force One. So he does sort of benefit from it. And from the optics of it, it doesn't look good for him to take it from the Qataris or any other nation for such a massive valued gift.
Yes, Adam, you make a great point there about universities, because American universities are beneficiaries of billions in grants from Qatar, and you could argue that has a lot to do with some of the activism we see on university campuses. But if Trump is going to accept this on the behalf of Department of Defense and treat the Qataris precisely as he was going to treat them before, then I can kind of understand his rationale for taking the gift and just accepting it's not coming with any obligations. You're going to get the same treatment from the US as you always were. Adam B. Coleman, always a pleasure. Thanks for your time.
All right. So anyway, we see all the craziness from, whoa, look at that craziness up here. Ooh, that's crazy. Ooh. Anyway, I just wanted to share that, just race baiting, and of course Biden's decline and all the other craziness coming out of the left. Oh my goodness. I just can't help but look at that. That's horrible. Anyway, I will see y'all probably a little bit later. Talk to y'all. Bye.